Well, folks, here we are again. Thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Just going to continue the stream from earlier. Some exciting times for sure, and I think it would just be cool if we get the opportunity to see nice milestones occur as it happens, right? So like instead of looking back on it, we kind of see it as it happens. I think that'd be pretty cool. So we're just gonna do another live stream. There's always a chance we get to observe a cool milestone. Obviously, there's a good chance we don't. But we'll at least pull up the charts, watch Bitcoin, chat a little bit. I imagine most people probably are not interested at this time, but you never know. So with that said, let me post the stream in a couple different places, and then we'll go ahead and dive in. So, okay, I think I got it. Yeah, so the reason why I did the live stream is because I know a lot of you are like me, and are just watching watching the price. Now we like to, of course, the channel is built around like macro trends, right? These like long-term movements in the market, but at the same time, to some degree, it's like we can't help ourselves. Like it's hard not to watch the price, especially considering this is the focus of the channel has been talking about Bitcoin bubbles, and this channel, if you're not familiar with the history of this channel, it actually I launched it in the late summer, I believe, or summer of 2019, and so the major move that Bitcoin had during 2019. Here, my channel, like, I don't remember exactly when I started it, but it did not exist in this move here. So it did not exist here. And so, literally, every video that you see on my channel was made in this regime. Every single video you see on my channel was made within this regime, okay? And so that's why it's exciting to see the price getting back up to where it was. To give you a brief idea, I wanted to start the channel back over here, back in like 2015. I was doing my dissertation at the time. I graduated in September of 2018. So I graduated right here with my PhD. So that's when I graduated. And I was like, this would be an awful time to launch a channel on cryptocurrency. This would be an awful time. So I said, okay, I'll put it off for a year, and then I'll do it. So then a year later, here, it's basically like maybe a little less than a year. I launched it around that point, I believe. Okay, so now after it launched, right? I mean, we saw some pretty bearish movement over the next few months, right? Over many subsequent months, and now that we are approaching the level, the price of Bitcoin is actually higher than when I launched the channel. So it's exciting for me because it's it's exciting times. The price is moving up. We're inching towards 14K. There's I mean, if you take a look at the order book, there are a decent amount of orders between 13.8 and 14K. There's a lot of sell orders that will come in. So we'll see if we make it. But the interesting thing, right, is can we get to a local top that's higher than our 2019 top? And that's the question. Because if, again, the BLX doesn't show the current price, it shows the closing price. And the closing price was $13,652. So during the stream, if you're looking over at the price and you say, oh, did it drop down? No, it's just this was the closing price. This is the live price, 13,809. So this is the live price. Now, if you take a look at the high, so on the BLX, if you take a look at the high here, it was approximately 13,840, 850. There were some exchanges where the price got higher, 13,860. Maybe someone can do the research and figure out like what wick went highest on which exchange. But I think it's fairly safe to say that a 13.9, so 13.9K, if Bitcoin reaches 13.9K, we will clear the high from 2019. Okay, so if it reaches 13.9K, I think it's safe to say we're in the clear. We have cleared this high from 2019 because we didn't quite make it to $14,000. So I just thought it would be interesting to just pull up a stream and see if we can witness it. Now, there's a good chance we don't. The chance that it goes to 13.9K during this live stream is fairly small. It seems to me like when I'm doing the live stream, the market doesn't move. And then like the minute I turn the live stream off, like I did the live stream earlier today, I was on for like 2.5 hours. And I think like within an hour or so, maybe not even that long, of turning the live stream off, I checked the price and it was at 13.8. And for the entire stream, we were like trying to see if we could hit 13.8, and it just wouldn't get there. And now we're sitting right at 13.8, and you might think it's silly to watch these price levels, and you're probably right. But I think it's interesting just in terms of looking at these milestones, because when you look back on the market cycle, and you're gonna remember, you're gonna remember all these times. You're gonna look back and you're gonna remember the crazy 2019 pump, right? During this period, even though this channel did not exist, I'm sure you remember that time period when Bitcoin was just going crazy and leaving a lot of the market behind. This, by the way, is essentially the only time in history where the Ethereum valuation against Bitcoin bled when Bitcoin was above the 20-week. So over the macro scale, from when it broke above the 20-week to below it, Ethereum Bitcoin actually bled, and this is the only time it did it. And you can see why. Like, you guys are familiar enough with the channel. Like, at least according to the theories that we talk about on the channel, I'm curious, why do you think the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio bled during this time? So just take a look at this type of price movement, and in the comments, tell me, why do you think Ethereum Bitcoin bled during that time? And we'll see if anyone kind of has any ideas or anything. Yeah, you guys, yeah, Josh, Ian, Damien, yeah, you guys got it. I mean, it's the idea. Like, it's just moving up. There was none of this, right? This is what we need for Ethereum to do well, and even this, well, this to a lesser extent, but I mean, there was a few weeks here. But here, for the most part, this is where Bitcoin broke the 20-week, right? And from this point on, even these candles here, we were essentially slowly trickling up for the most part. I mean, of course, there were a couple of red candles, but it was just too bullish, right? We never actually moved sideways for any extended period of time. And because there was a small period here, but essentially that is it. Like, there's not a period. Even this point here, you might say, oh, this is sideways. But again, the volatility on Bitcoin here is a lot, and it does need a few weeks to cool down to give Ethereum that confidence. And so because it never moved sideways, well, that rendered Ethereum's capability to keep up with Bitcoin essentially useless in one sense, because it just wasn't moving sideways. And then the down part is that when Bitcoin then fell, despite the fact that Ethereum couldn't even keep up with this move, it still bled even over here. So it's kind of like a double whammy, right? It's a double whammy, and so you don't get the better upside, and then you get the worse downside. And this is yet another reason why Bitcoin is the majority of my portfolio, because in instances like this, you want it to be, and in instances like this, you want it to be. The main time you don't, it's okay to expand a little bit, are these sideways movements during a bull market. By the way, another time, we haven't spoken about it in a while because we haven't been below the 20 week in a while. Another key time to accumulate altcoins can be like in these regions, like down here, and even right here. And the reason being is the main thing, right, is when Bitcoin breaks below the 20 week, you tend to not want to be in altcoins for the most part. But once this major drop comes, you could start beginning to accumulate some of them, right, in these regions after it's seen that big nasty red candle. I mean, here's another one. The issue, of course, is you don't know how low the candle is going to go. I mean, this one could have gone lower, but it didn't. But a lot of times when after it drops, if it's dropping like this significantly, and then you start moving back up, this can also be a time to accumulate some altcoins. But when Bitcoin breaks through the 20 week to the upside, all eyes are on Bitcoin, and actually Ethereum, I'm sure, bled during this move. During if you look at April 20th, I think we've showed this before on the stream, but again, if you look at April 27th, when Bitcoin broke through the 20-week moving average, and you look at the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio let's go to the weekly time frame here. So if we go to the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio on April 27th, okay, so yeah, here's April 27th. So the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio bled by approximately 20% during that move. So during the move that Bitcoin, uh, the Bitcoin was breaking through the 20 week, that's when Ethereum Bitcoin bled. But before that, you can see there were some nice appreciation moments leading up to that. So, um, so yeah, like I mean, just looking back, when it breaks the 20 week, all eyes are on Bitcoin, and then when it tests the 20 week from the upside, all eyes are on Bitcoin again. And then essentially you recognize why the market it's built around Bitcoin, whether you like it or not, because when Bitcoin goes up too quickly, the only thing we care about is Bitcoin for the most part. At least that's what the market cares about. When it goes down too quickly, it's either Bitcoin or stable coins. Again, when it goes through the 20 week, all eyes on Bitcoin. When it tests the 20 week, all eyes on Bitcoin. Sideways, altcoin paradise. So that's generally the idea here. So again, for Ethereum and these other coins, we want to see that, right? We want to see that happen. And until that happens, I would not expect any significant moves from most altcoins against Bitcoin. I just would not expect to see them do that much. Again, on any given day, you can see a pump, right? On any given day, you could see a 5 to 10% move. But until we see a lot of weekly candles printing, we're probably just not going to see a huge movement. And again, one of the things you will notice is from time to time, you'll wake up one morning and you'll see like all of your altcoins are up like 10% or something on Bitcoin or on USD. Sometimes you'll wake up and they'll be down 10%, right? But sometimes you'll wake up and they'll just be all up 10%. Again, this is not the macro scale. Anything can happen on a day. What you want is the macro shift. That's what you want. Like, right, these shifts where it goes from a macro trend down to a macro trend up. And even like a moderate, like a not quite so fine, like not like a daily time scale, but looking at several weeks or months, looking for this type of a shift. And so that's what you want. That's what you're ultimately looking for. Not say like a daily move or anything like that. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, again, I'm sure a lot of people remember, like a lot of these different time periods. You probably remember this move. You probably remember this subsequent downtrend. I especially remember this candle. I don't know if does anyone remember this candle? I vividly remember this candle because we were during this time we were basically just going down, and it was very bearish at the time because we were down like 40% within a fairly short period of time. We're talking going from June to September. It just seemed like the market was trending downward, but I just remember this candle here because from the bottom of the wick to the top, it was like Bitcoin pumped like 30 to 40%, and it was crazy at the time because I don't think many people were expecting it. But it's just interesting when you can look back at the chart and you look at the candles, you kind of remember what was going on at the time, probably how you felt, but ultimately speaking, right, the downtrend actually just continued, and we got this uptrend which felt nice going into the new year, and then we had the March crash, and I'm sure you remember this one. I'm sure you remember that. And then since then, it's just been a slow grind upwards, and sometimes it's been not so slow. You know, sometimes we've moved up. I mean, from the bottom of the wick, right? We've moved up 150% over 8 weeks, 9 weeks. Other times we've moved sideways for 10 weeks, right? Or, you know, here we've moved sideways for 10 weeks as well. So this move that we're seeing right now is fairly recent, right? There's not a, even though it feels quite amazing, it's still fairly recent. So yeah, we're just gonna take a look at the price, and the reason we're doing it is because there's always a chance we break up to 13.9, and if we do, at least we get to witness putting in a higher high, or a price higher than the 2019 high, because so far in 2020 the highest price that 2020 has seen is lower than the highest price that 2019 saw. So I think it would be fairly symbolic to see it put in a higher number, despite the fact that it went all the way back down. I mean, think about how crazy this year is. Going into January, the price was around, you know, between $7,000 and $8,000 or so. It came up to 10K, down to 3,800, back up to 10K, sideways for 2.5 months, up to 12K, back down to the 20 week, and then now we're at, you know, we're flirting with 14K. And I'm also sure that you guys remember this period because we really had to hunker down and basically just say, hopefully it holds. If it doesn't hold, we know how to react, but hopefully it holds, because if it does hold, we know that we can rebound from it, and sentiment can change on a dime. So with that said, I'll look to see, you know, if there's any questions in the chat. Remember, if you guys like the content, please subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and we'll talk about questions. So yeah, there's a lot of people talking about how they remember. You guys remember all these different times as well. So, and that's why I'm saying, you know, like, yeah, there's a chance we push through to 13.9. I'm not gonna let this stream go on forever because it's already pretty late here, but you never know if it does break it. It would be nice to see. I think the highest we've come so far is around. You know, it's hard to say exactly because I don't know what exchange printed the highest value, but from where I'm standing, it seems like the highest value was essentially at the same highest value of 29. We haven't really put in a higher high, maybe slightly below. I think, yeah, does anyone know what the highest price was on any exchange in 2019? Like, what was the highest price reached? Because it looks like the highest price reached, according to this, was around 13,865. You know, an hour ago or so, maybe. So someone says 13,888. So yeah, a little. So maybe just slightly higher. So maybe the top that we're looking to break is maybe around that level or something. Matt Short says, my favorite one was when we blew through 6K resistance. You know, that was one of my favorite ones too because I didn't have the YouTube channel around back when people were calling for the 6K resistance to act as like resistance for half a year or a year or something. I was watching some of these guys call for it, and I just remember watching Bitcoin just slice through 6K like it wasn't even there. Someone else says it was 13,875. Someone says 13,970 on Binance. So we'll put 970. I didn't even realize it hit 970 on Binance. If it actually hit 970, that's way up here. So that would be significantly higher than where we currently are. So that would be up there. I know I can check. I just don't feel like it right now. Yeah, I'm not talking about futures. I'm not talking about futures. Okay, so 13,970 on Coinbase. So we still have a ways to go. Probably not going to break it during the live stream, but just recognize that it is somewhat symbolic if we break it. Because if we go to say like, let's just say we go to 14K. If we go to 14K, then we've essentially hit a new top from 2019. So we would have broken the 2019 top. So. Someone says, if Bitcoin moons more now, is the long term trend broken? I don't think so. I mean, in fact, if you put on the regression band, this is a 5 minute chart. You can actually see the top of the regression band on the 5 minute chart pretty easily. It's just right up here. And if you zoom out, and we put the long term trend line on this, and then zoom all the way out, I mean, you can see we're essentially just still on course. I mean, I would argue that we're probably a little bit ahead of schedule, right? I mean, a little bit ahead of schedule, but in March, we were behind schedule. You know, this period, we were definitely behind schedule. Um, this was basically right on track, right? In this region, we were more or less right on track. Now we're getting a little overheated over here, a little bit. So just recognize there is a possibility that we don't go to 20K in the short term. Like, I know a lot of people think it will happen, a lot of people want it to happen. There's a chance that happens. There's a chance we go up to 20K. Even if we do, I don't think it'll hold. But um, I mean, you can see that we are still very much on track. And I mean, this is the entire trend line, right? I mean, we're still theoretically within the reaccumulation phase if you only go by the regression trend line, because it has the upper part of it at 14,863. So according to this, we're still in this lower bound region. We haven't even come into bubble territory as far as the regression equation is concerned. But again, we're at that point up here, 14K almost. So we'll see if we break it. I mean, if we break it and move on up, great, right? If there's like a short squeeze or something, but recognize, right? I mean, even if we come back down, it's still business as usual. Like, it's still the same trend. We're still on the same trend because despite all this volatility over the last couple years, right, all the way down to 31, down to 3,800, we're still more or less going up, right? We're still trending upwards. So. Someone says, "What is your analysis if Bitcoin breaks your regression trend line?" I don't know what you mean. I mean, I don't. What do you mean by break? I guess because I mean, if you just mean if it goes above it, it also it went above it in 2019, but it came back down to it. So I'm not exactly sure what you mean by like if it breaks it. Make sure you guys subscribe if you guys like the content. Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about what breaks the model, so like for instance, if Bitcoin were to come back down, and then come back down to say like 6,000 in the short term, it's still or 7,000. If it goes down to the 200-week moving average, which is here, or sorry, this is the um, this is the 300 week. That's the 300 week. I think maybe I deleted it. Let me change this to the 200 week. So let's suppose that the price comes back down to the bottom, and it corresponds to the 200 week. Even then, it's still on target because we can still recover, right, and continue marching on up, and it's fine. Where it might break, I mean, if you say, okay, well, what would make you think that we're no longer on this macro trend line? Well, I mean, it's fairly straightforward. I mean, if the price of Bitcoin were to just go sideways for a couple years, or let's just say like even like a year and a half or something, it would be harder and harder to say that this trend line means anything. Like if all of a sudden for the next 2 or 3 years the price just does something like this, right? Then obviously a trend line doing this doesn't mean anything. So that would obviously be a scenario where it would break down if Bitcoin were to just go sideways for a couple years. By the way, if you guys do like the content, you should check out the Telegram channel. I'll put it in the chat if you guys want to join. We're 14 people away from 7,000 members. The new baby is good. He's 2 weeks old. I'm going to switch this over to a 1 hour chart so we have more data here. Adam says, what are the upper bounds to break the trend line? All right, so if you want to know the upper bounds, and remember these are changing, right? I mean, they're moving up every single week. But if you wanted to see, okay, well, what happens if it goes above it? The current upper bound to the regression, if you haven't seen this before, right, it's fit through all three peaks essentially. Um, and so the upper bound, so the lower bound on the the lower bound on the bubble regression is 50,942, and the upper bound on it is $75,002.55. So that would be instantaneously, right? So that's one of the reasons why I've said, I think the price of Bitcoin can rally higher the longer it takes, because the longer it takes, the more this regression curve has to climb, the longer it has to climb. And so it'd be better for it to take longer rather than shorter, because instantaneously it would mean, theoretically anyways, it would mean that it wouldn't go as quite as high as if it took another couple, like say 3 years or 2.5 years or something. I'm so used to saying like like 3 years, but after a while, I have to start saying 2 years, right? Because once we get into 2021, I have to start saying 2 years, because then if the idea is the peak is in 2023, then I have to say 2 years. It's kind of like I usually say 16 to 18 months for what I would consider to be a sustainable 20K, because that's what I said for so long. But I've always said the end of the fourth quarter to the beginning of the first quarter of 2021, 2022. So essentially, a year from now falls within the fourth quarter of 2022. So I need to start for the fourth quarter of 2021. So I need to start saying, you know, now it's within 12 months. By October would be like the earliest potentially, and then as late as March of 2022. So that's not to say we can't get to 20K before that. Um, there's a chance we do, right? There's a chance we get to 20K and then come back down. There's a chance I'm wrong, of course. There's a chance we go to 20K sooner than I think, and then it takes longer just to go to 100K. But I think that it's going to take a while to get to a sustainable 20K. But once we do, then it's really true price discovery mode. And I understand, right? A lot of market sentiment right now is that we're going to get to 20K like next week, basically. Um, but a lot of people were saying the same thing back in 2019 as well. So just remember to stay disciplined here, stay level-headed. If we get a 20K in the short term, great. But I wouldn't necessarily anticipate a sustainable 20K in the next couple months or anything like that. We know that bull markets are liable to go sideways for months at a time, and in fact this sideways movement lasted almost 3 months. This one lasted like a month and a half or a couple months from here to here before this breakout. So remember, we can, even let's say we get to 14K, there's still a good chance we spend a while just going sideways at it. So joking about Bitcoin. Believe me, there's enough worthless altcoins in the market. I don't need to create one. Yeah, that's the thing. Like sideways would be great from here. Like sideways for here for Bitcoin would be incredibly bullish for Bitcoin. Like if it can hold this level and go sideways could mean even between 12 to 14K. Like this would be still really bullish for Bitcoin. And it would also give the chance for altcoins to play catch up a little bit. So the best thing for altcoins would be for Bitcoin to go sideways. And honestly, you could argue that the best thing for Bitcoin would be for Bitcoin to go sideways so that it doesn't get too much into an inflated bubble that then pops and then sees a pretty sharp correction, right? Slower moves up are usually better in terms of sustainability rather than sharp moves up, because if you see like a sharp pump up, these typically are not sustainable. And a key example, right, is 2019, this insane move up, because in this scenario, the price pumped over the course of 28 weeks by over 300%. If we measure it from this wick down here, we've pumped over 34 weeks, 34 weeks, we've pumped 242%. So you can see this from this capitulation and this one moved a lot faster than this one is. And it's better to move slower. Of course it's better to move slower. And the reason is because we had several periods of sideways movement that gave altcoins the reins for a few months. Yeah, 12 to 14K is a big range, and it's also not a big range, right? you know, it's not that huge of a range, right? In the macro scheme, like if you look back, if you look at the cycle and the thesis is that we're going to go to like 100K, you know, looking back at a few pixels on the screen in a few years, 12K to 14K again, playing in the sandbox, right? We're just playing in the sandbox at this point. And that's why I say, you know, figure out a strategy, get the kinks worked out now, so that when the time comes, you know what to do, and you take advantage of it. Because I would hate to see you guys, you know, get into the market in 2019, 2020, and I mean a lot of people have been in the market a lot longer, right? But if you've been accumulating in 2019 and 2020, like there's no reason, like if Bitcoin goes to 100K and Ethereum goes to several $1,000s or something, there's really no good excuse if you were accumulating and you didn't need the money. I mean, like if you're not, as long as you're spending, as long as you're investing money that you could theoretically afford to lose, and you don't need to pull all of it out or anything. If Bitcoin does end up going to six figures or something, like I want you guys to benefit from that. Like I'm believing, like I know some people here think like, oh well, you know, there's a lot of people here. Like, can we really get that lucky? Believe me, there's a lot of dumb money out there waiting for you. Like it's coming. It's more than likely coming in the next few years. You just have to be patient. And to give you an idea, I mean, like think about it. Like think about your circle of friends. How many of those people actually care at all about Bitcoin or crypto, right? Most people that I speak to and talk to, the reason like they're in the Telegram chat a lot and they're, you know, they're chatting on these other mediums of exchange is a lot of people, you know, they're the only person that they know, right? They're like the only person that deals with Bitcoin and crypto, because most people just don't care about it still. Believe me, there's a lot of money. There's still a lot of money that can pour into the market, and one of the common questions I get is, you know, where's the money going to come from? It's the same money that's come every cycle. I mean, there's so much money every cycle. You know, when Bitcoin was 10 cents, you could have said, well, where's the money that's going to come to bring it up to $1? When Bitcoin was $1, you could have said, where's the money going to come from to bring it up to $10, and then $100, and then $1,000, and then $10,000. So the argument that the move from 10,000 to 100,000 is where it absolutely has to cut off is somewhat absurd, but it's not completely, because we also recognize that to keep moving up orders of magnitude, it takes a lot more volume. It takes a lot more money to coming into the market to move it up subsequent orders of magnitude. So the money's there, but because it's going to take a lot more of it to really get the price up to 100K or somewhere in that regime. That's why I think it will take longer this cycle. It's not like I don't think it's possible for Bitcoin to go to 100K in 2021. I just don't think that the volume that's going to be needed is going to come into the market that quickly. I think it's going to take longer. You know, more institutional money will likely come into the market. People will become more and more bullish. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, the institutional money, you know, you guys have seen the chart, right? The you have the smart money coming in first, right? That comes out way in advance. After the smart money, you know, you have, let me see if I can find the chart. Let's see. Let me pull it up really quick. I'm just pulling the bubble up so I can show you guys what I mean. I'm sure most of you know what I'm talking about, but in case you don't. It's kind of small. Let me fix that. don't know why it's doing that. So here's what I'm talking about. I just put in the textbook bubble. So, you have the smart money coming in over here. And actually, this doesn't even show like yeah. So the smart money comes in, right? So imagine this scenario. It's the people that were getting in 2019, and then you get the institutional investors. So we've seen a lot of this. Of course you have the Grayscale buying up a lot. You have Square. I mean, you have a lot of different institutional investors coming into the space. So right, this is where we are, and this can take a long period of time, right? It doesn't necessarily take a couple months, but I mean, this could take a significant period of time, and and then eventually, you're going to have more of media attention and more retail investors coming in, but they're going to be coming in late, and then up here where you get this new paradigm, a lot of the smart money is going to be selling, and probably some institutional investors are going to be selling some, and then you get that blow off peak again, right? Make sure you guys subscribe again if you guys like the content. We also, just as a reminder, we have the premium list as well, into thecryptoverse.com if you guys want access to that. Weekly reports, weekly videos, alerts channel, risk dashboard, and weekly newsletter. Maybe I already said that. And you can pay with crypto and get like a 15% discount. So check it out. Good possibility we're not gonna beat 2019's local top. I mean, the top from 2019. Pretty good possibility it's not gonna happen. But if we do enough live streams over the course of the years, we're gonna hit some key milestones, and then we'll be able to look back and remember. You'll remember. And have you guys seen? Have you guys seen? Uh, am I buffering? Or you guys still have me here? Or am I buffering? Let me know if the stream is still going smooth, because YouTube's starting to give me some errors again. All right. Someone says, "Can't believe I don't drink Coke." I actually do prefer that to Pepsi. I just like when it's late here, so I was like, I'm probably gonna go to bed, and then I saw the price at 13.8, and I was like, I'll just do a live stream. But I needed caffeine, and I don't drink coffee, and so I was just like, all right, I'll just grab something with caffeine in it. Um, have you guys seen? Let me. I'm just gonna find something really quick. Yeah, the reason I've learned a little bit more. I don't know why, but whenever I click off, maybe someone can help me fix this, but whenever I click off like the live streaming YouTube studio thing and I like open up a new tab, like for whatever reason I lose my connection. So a lot of you guys are, probably see me like lose my connection a lot. And when it's because like when I click off the tab and try to open up something else and search for something, it just basically loses the connection. And I really don't know why. Yeah, I'm using OBS. Someone says I should go live on Twitch. What's the difference? Like, what's the difference really between doing it on YouTube and Twitch? Have I tried restarting it? I mean, this is an issue that happens all the time. Yeah, I mean, of course I've tried turning it off and on. That's what 90% of engineering is just turning it off and on. Well, um, I don't know if someone can provide the link in the chat. There's like a there's like a someone like posted it on Reddit. It's like this guy comes in and he's like, "Oh, you're so lucky for investing in Bitcoin less than 10K." And then like it shows this guy who was like holding Bitcoin through 2018, through 2019, March of 2020, and it's just like it's so easy for people to come in and say, "Oh, you're so lucky," but you were there. You reckon it wasn't so easy at one point when you were watching your investment drop by like 60% in a day. Yeah, I'm not running OBS in administrative mode, so maybe I could just run it in administrative mode, and that will fix things. I can try that. All right. I feel like I feel like my stream is acting up again. I don't know. I don't know why it's buffering. I mean, I've live streamed so many times before, and I haven't had a lot of times I never have issues, and then all of a sudden today I've been having a ton of issues. It's a PC. I don't know. I don't think it's my end, honestly, because I've done it so many times and it's worked fine. And I just feel like there's something going on with YouTube or something. I'm not turning on. Yeah, I have no intention on turning on Super Chat. Let me close some of these windows. Maybe that'll help. All right, I just closed some windows. We'll see if that does anything. I mean, maybe I just need to get a better computer or something. I mean, I don't even know. I'm not running any miners. I really don't know what's going on. I mean, ultimately speaking, I probably just need to put like a router in this office. You guys think we should just call it a day? I'm starting to think I should just call it a day if this keeps continuing, because it just keeps saying no data, so I don't know. Well, here we are. No idea if you guys can even hear me, but I'll go on a few more minutes. I mean, really, honestly speaking, like there's probably a good chance that Bitcoin's not going to do much of anything anyways in the next few minutes. Yeah, I think I'll just have to figure out a better internet connection to do the streams because this just isn't working. Yeah, someone says watch him in the stream and then Bitcoin breaks. So that's what happened earlier. We were waiting for 13.8 and we waited like 2.5 hours. It never came. I ended the stream and right when I ended it, it hit 13.8. I think ultimately I'll just put a router in here and then just connect it with Ethernet because I'm on Wi-Fi. I mean, obviously that's you know obviously that's likely the solution, but it's just I've done so many streams before and it hasn't been a problem. Some may say that the reason we haven't hit 14K is because I'm doing a live stream, and once I end the live stream, then we'll hit it. I swear, like every morning when I wake up, I'm like, okay, is this the day where I'm gonna wake up and Bitcoin's down like five or 10%? And for the most part, it is it just keeps moving up. Maybe the reason it always pumps after my stream is because I show enough like macro level charts of Bitcoin that everyone watching my stream, when the stream ends, they just go buy Bitcoin and then it raises the price. Maybe that's the theory we'll work off of for now. Oh, Perry Parks has a good point, guys. If we keep the stream going and Bitcoin goes sideways, then it gives altcoins a chance to move up. So this is a predicament. Do I leave the stream going, keep Bitcoin from getting to 14K, but give coins like Ethereum a chance to make a move, or Chainlink, or do we end the stream and let Bitcoin have the reins? Like I was doing a stream earlier today, like in here, and it just was not getting to 13.8. I go off stream, it then goes up to 13.8. I come on stream, like over here, and it just, yeah, starts going sideways. I think we should just call it a night. The stream keeps going in and out, and I don't know, it's not worth fighting with it right now. So I'll just remind you, if you guys like the content, you can check out Telegram. You can check out the premium list. You guys, I mean, if you wanted. Other than that, there's really nothing else to say. I think right now. I mean, it just isn't. The stream is not working tonight, and I ultimately just need to get it. I need to get it figured out. Looks like we're 4 members away from hitting 7,000 members on Telegram. So check it out if you guys want to join. But I think we'll just go ahead and end the stream here. Once I go off stream, maybe that'll be the catalyst we need for Bitcoin to go to make a run up to 14K. But I'm sure we'll make a video tomorrow, and we'll tune back in then. So I'll see you guys